In section 5.2, problem number 9, we need to find the exact value of this expression using the sum or a sum or difference identity. So we can use cosine of alpha plus beta, and we just have to figure out what's alpha and what's beta so that the sum of alpha plus beta equals 7 pi over 12. So 7 pi over 12 is not a standard angle of our unit circle, which is why we want to use this sum to find the exact value. Using our unit circle, we always have these reduced radian measures. But if you think of all those radian measures in terms of a 12th of pi, then, so this is 1/12 of pi, and this is 2/12 of pi, and this is 3, and this is 4, and then we don't have 5 pi 12ths as a standard angle, so then we go to 6, and then we skip 7, and then we have 8, and we have 9, and 10, and we skip 11, and we have 12, and it just continues in this way. So this is just expressing the radians in terms of 12ths, and that helps us see, for one thing, it's easier to go around the circle and add and label everything, so that's one trick to remember it. But also, it helps us find a sum that is of 12ths, like 7/12. So what I kind of have an image in my mind highlighting these, how many 12ths of a pi is. So this is 1/12, 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm just thinking, what will add up to 7? So I get 7/12. Because notice 7/12 doesn't have a standard angle. So that's why I don't know cosine and sine just by looking at the unit circle. But if I add 4 pi 12ths plus 3 pi 12ths, that sum equals 7 pi 12ths. So if I let alpha be 4 pi 12ths and beta be 3 pi 12ths, then when I add them together, I get 7 pi 12ths. So that's the trick to finding what to add together to get this exact value. Okay, so now we got to remember the formula. So cosine of alpha plus beta, the formula for that is cosine alpha times cosine beta, the opposite sign, and then sine alpha sine beta. And so our alpha is 4 pi over 12, so we do cosine of 4 pi over 12 times cosine of 3 pi over 12 minus the sine of 4 pi over 12 times the sine of 3 pi over 12. And if I look back at my unit circle, then I remember that 4 pi over 12, or if I just reduce the fraction, is equivalent to pi over 3. And 3 pi over 12 is equivalent to pi over 4. Okay, and I know those are all standard angles, so I know those values. Cosine of pi over 3 cosine of pi over 4, sine of pi over 3, and sine of pi over 4. Now I just multiply them together and then I can subtract. So that's radical 2 over 2 minus radical 3 times radical 2 is radical 6 over 2. Oops, sorry. My denominators are going to be 4 now because it's 2 times 2 and 2 times 2. So when I simplify that, I get radical 2 minus radical 6 over 4. So that is the cosine of 7 pi over 12.